Right on time.
Doesn't have to be work for the students.
It's redundant.
They're still scribbling, and I can't tell, well, and I'm the one that they think. So I'm 16 out there counting. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Sorry for not being here on time.
All right, whenever you guys are ready.
All right, well, we are gonna call this meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the County of Monterey to order at 5:03 p.m. Can we start with the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call, please.
Chair Osborne,
Present.
Vice Chair Kathleen Bellastaro,
Present.
Commissioner Kevin Healy,
Present.
Commissioner Francine Goodwin,
Present.
Commissioner Maria Orozco,
Present.
Commissioner Yuri Anderson,
Here.
and that concludes the roll call.
Okay, we're gonna move on to item 3, which is comments from the public. For those wishing to speak, you have 3 minutes for your comments. And Gabby, is anybody here in person?
Nobody in person.
Okay, anybody on Zoom wishing to speak tonight? Okay. We're gonna move on then to item 4, which is the consent agenda. I think the only item on there is approval of the minutes from our regular board meeting on November 27th. Anybody on the Board of Commissioners be interested in making a motion?
I'll make a motion. A second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Ballesteros and seconded by Commissioner Roscoe. We have a roll call vote for just.
Hans Buda,
Yes,
Kathleen Bellastaro,
Yes.
Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Francine Goodwin,
Yes.
Maria Orozco,
Yes.
Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
That concludes the roll call vote.
okay, we are gonna move on to item 5, which is reports of committees. And we are gonna start with Personnel Committee. Commissioner Ballesteros, did you all meet this month?
Yes, we did,
Okay.
and it was a very excellent meeting, and all the information is on the agenda.
Okay. And then next, we have the Finance and Development Committee. Commissioner Healy, I'm trying to recall what the high points were of that one. Do you have a better recollection than myself?
We received the expeditious finance report from Mike and team, and I believe all the other items are on the agenda for this evening's meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Healy. Okay, and then Michi and Michi AA.
We don't have a report for them, and since we no longer have any HACM board members or representatives on their committee, I would like, if next month at the board meeting, if we could remove this committee, since we no longer participate.
Do you think that we need a board vote to do that, or?
Since it's a committee, I think that we would, so we'll do a resolution to remove it, and then if it passes, we'll move from there.
Okay, great. All right, well then, I guess we're done with reports of committees and we'll move on to item 6, which is the report of secretary.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's been a very, weather-rific day, because it's been crazy weather all day. I'll give you the highlights first. I am so pleased to say that we did come to an agreement with the USDA on the farm labor sites. I think it's something that's fair to everyone, and it does let us move forward with the mission. So the rents for the 2 bedrooms are $1,120, the 3 bedrooms are $1,220, and the 4 bedrooms are $1,320. That's a substantial increase for the authority, but it also won't rent burden the residents. The staff is getting the letters ready to send it out. They probably have sent them out already. And then all of the residents will come in and sign their paperwork and see what their individual rent is going to be. So I was very pleased that we were able to get that done. Another high note, the EHV audit is finally completed. We did have some findings, we're working on them, and we'll have a corrective action plan to turn in by February 21st. The findings are kind of correlate to the same reports from the VMS and report we had in the regular audits. So I think it was 3 maybe on the finance side and 2 on the HCB side. But at the next meeting, I want to give you all of the audits and all of the corrective action plans so you can see on how they came in, but we're working on that. We are finished with the PDD technical assistance. So that's good. We did the mandated training. We finished, everything was successful. They get a report ready for HUD. We should have it before they submit it, but it should be very favorable for the organization. Then let's see. Oh, I just got this today. The PDD violation is finally gonna be released. The city was able to work out something with the state and they got the document they were waiting on. They're gonna turn that into HUD. So probably by the time we have the next meeting, we should have a clearance level.
Is that the Project Okio?
Yeah, they needed some, information from the state about a floodplain, and they were having difficulties with ownership, but they got all that straightened out. Roy, emailed me today. And they also completed the incentive funds for, the HCB program. I've signed and executed the document. They already made the resolution, so now they'll just be forwarding us the $331,000 to help anybody who's on the Section 8 program. So we're gonna kind of model it after EHB as far as how much the deposits and stuff like that is. But it'll be for any participant, no special program, just if they need to have the needs so they can get it. And it's $331,000. The work at PDM is going good. We waiting to hear back on the application for HHS. And let's see, we need some highlights. Oh, we're working on the transition for Rippling River. We estimate the conversion to take place by February the 1st. Probably actually it'll be 7 or so days after that for everything's final because we gotta change the software, but it's going really well. We are ready to start the 23 audits as soon as the 22 is completed. They sent the email today that said it may be completed this week, so we'll see what Nova Braddock has to send us on that. The development department, we working on a lot of stuff in development. All of it is at the point now, this is kind of conceptual with the ideas. We do have some budgets that we've created, and we actually looking at doing some ownership structures. So I'll send a detailed informal email to the board to let you know what's going on with each one of them. Because it's not ready to bring to the board yet in an open meeting, but that way you can know the progress that's being made. But the sites are Greenfield, Parcel B, Rippling River, and then we have 2 more that we can't name at this time. We're pending some paperwork, so if that comes through, that will also be mentioned. And HCB, we're closing out the EHB program, which we did meet 100%. We're looking at the waivers for the payment standards. I did meet with the HUD rep, and we're doing the rent burden and tools for tools to get the final numbers on that. We're working with East Garrison to do the HAP contract. We'll probably execute that this month. That's for the apartments they built over in East Garrison. I forgot how many units there. I think we got 15. And then Magnolia Apartments in Greenfield, we're gonna be getting ready to do the HAP contract on that one as well. They had 32 units. And I have to say, congratulations to the staff. Everybody worked really hard, but we corrected the VMS report all the way from 2020 to date for Section 8. So we went through and did all the journal entries, corrected all the mapping and yarding, went through all the files, and now we have all the correct numbers from 2020 to December 2023. That's a huge achievement, because it's the voucher management system. The previous reports, there was a lot of blanks in there, stuff wasn't mapped going to the right place, so you had to look at all the fields, but everything has been corrected. And working with human resources, we actually gonna have some interviews this week. And then Meet I don't have a formal update on them right now, but those are pretty much the highlights. Oh yeah, and family self-sufficiency, the FSS grant. We will be awarded $184,837 for 2024. I'm just waiting for HUD to release the money. We'll keep the 2 coordinators we have, and we planning on adding some more programs to help with the goals, but we already been notified that we're gonna be funded. And that concludes my report.
Are there any comments from the public on the report that Talika just gave us? Okay, questions or comments from commissioners?
I just wanted to mention in regards to the US, the one on the, let me go back to it. Oh, for the farm labor, so I think Salika had mentioned to me, because we had a conversation, that the supervisors had agreed with the rates, the Monroe County supervisors.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have said that, but by this being a hot topic, when everything got finalized, I did send an email to Supervisor Alejo. I sent one to some of the congressional spokespeople that had called to let everybody know exactly where we were, and everyone was really elated with it. And I think it's just gonna work well for everybody involved.
Thank you.
Other, yeah,
Along that line, I'm wondering if any outreach has been done to the District 5 supervisor related to the Rippling River changeover, because I know that's been a thorn in the side of that office that they probably would want to be alerted to.
We had a meeting with the Friends of Carmel Valley.
Friends of
and all
River,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
but I can, let me put a note in our contact.
I had a quick question on the family self-sufficiency, that grant, that's for like staff overhead to oversee the program, that's separate from what people are escrowing for.
Yeah, that's the money to pay for the salary for the coordinators.
Yeah.
It has a little training in there, but it's mostly salaries, and you get the number of coordinators based on your performance. So we've been doing really well. We were able to get 2 coordinators, and it's on a calendar year, so it ends every year in December. They started out with, I think 63 participants, and now we're like 102, something like that. So they've been doing really good, but yeah, the escrow is separate, it's included in the half funding.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful. And then the other one was the 2023 audit. So obviously, 2023, the calendar year just wrapped up. So would we consider ourselves like back on track from a timing perspective in audit land?
I would consider us not on track
Okay.
yet, because we should have been finished with the 2023 right now. So before we was a couple of years behind, now we're a couple of months.
Mhm.
So when we started 2023, we already talked to Nova Grad, we're gonna have a planning meeting. And then some of the stuff that's been taking a long time, we're gonna plan it out, how we gonna meet, how it's gonna be done, who's gonna be in charge of it, so that it doesn't take that long to do this audit. Now, overall, the time has improved, because when I got here, they said it was taking like a year to do one audit. We improved on that a lot, because we had just finished 19, got on 2020. So in the time I've been here, we finished all the way up to 2022. Because it shouldn't take that long for an audit to be completed.
Yeah.
So we got.
So theoretically, like a 2023 audit, how far behind are we, would you say, on that one?
I think the final, the draft is due, I think like in September, because it go on our calendar,
Yeah.
on our year.
Fiscal year.
So it closed in June. I want to say the unaudited is due like in September sometime, and then you do have 9 months after that to turn in the final, but most people get it in like another 3 or 4 months. So overall, we probably 6 months, I would say 6 months behind. Because when we start the 23, hopefully next week, soon as we finish it, we're gonna have to get ready to go straight into 24. If it takes too long to get it completed. If we can go ahead and make a plan, like I'm anticipating and get it done before the end of May, then we'll actually have a month or two rather to kind of breathe before it's time for us to do another audit.
Okay, that's helpful. Any other questions from commissioners? Okay, then we're gonna move on to item 7, which is information items. And we're gonna start with item 7A, which is the human resources report.
Well, happy new year to the board. I just wanted to say that, and then just want to kind of highlight a few things on my report that we're focusing on. I know that last month in December, I mentioned that safety was our top priority. So training is kind of the focus point when it comes down to safety in general. So right now we have ongoing as we launched it last week is OSHA training. That is, everyone has been given the opportunity to go online now. It's a 5 to 30-minute videos that are taken throughout the Velocity app that kind of cover all Cal OSHA requirements for safety regulations. So now it's just getting people back onto the best practices of safety in general. We also did a CPR first aid AED training in partnership with the American Red Cross that is scheduled for February 21st. So everyone that is required to attend has been notified in advance to make sure they plan and coordinate their lunches for that time. The biannual California training harassment is due for this year. So we also sent that announcement to all employees that needs to be done. And then also the conflict of interest form renewals, which is due every year. That just has to be just consistent across the agency, just to make sure that we're following all the proper procedures that are in place. With that being said, everything has been, as I mentioned, announced to the team with deadlines in place, and follow-ups and reminders have been sent out on a daily and sometimes weekly basis, just to keep everyone on top of making sure that they complete the training. And then if we kind of go to the next page, as far as recruitment and staffing goes, we do have 5 open positions that we have currently. We did kind of select a candidate for the HCV director role. I know Diana right now is the interim director of HCV, but we did select that person. That's first going to be announced next month on the board report. But we are hopeful that everything goes well in the onboarding process. We'll see that person here. We just opened up the Director of Housing Management, open today to the public. We did an internal opening last week, but for about a week for those who want to apply. So far, no candidates were interested in applying, and so we opened it to the public as today. And then the Housing Program Supervisor, we do have a few applicants in the system. Right now, we are kind of screening all the applications right now and resumes, just to make sure we're finding the right candidate for that position right now. The Housing Development Projects Manager was also launched today, open to the public. And then the Housing Development Analyst, that's on a continuous recruitment basis. We did have Delena Kumbaga, which is she was kind of covering for one of the contracts procurement manager. And now we actually have her as a second position within that department because of the volume that we have at HACM. So we have 2 the contracts procurement managers as of we speak today. Department employees right now, department employees, I'm sorry, Jose Acosta, the Director of Housing Management, and Kara Vargas, both have left the Housing Authority, and we wish them well. Temporary employees continue is still at 1, which is Brian Guevara. Workplace safety issues, because of the launch of the safety kind of initiative, we have 0 claims so far for the year, which is great. I know it's kind of early speaking, but we're hopeful for that. And part of that claims, we're also doing a claim review with our Chihuahua reporting. And I want to kind of make sure that we kind of go through all the open claims that we have and just kind of see what we can do to close them out, because some of them are kind of outstanding. And then as far as employee relations, nothing to report as of right now. And that concludes my short HR report, unless there's any questions.
Yeah, questions from commissioners?
I have a question. I know that as commissioners, we do our annual, the conflict of interest and the harassment. So I don't know, maybe Gabriella will be reaching out to
Yeah,
us.
I can coordinate with Gabriella,
Okay,
send it to you guys.
that way we all stay in tune
Same
also.
alliance.
It's for further the agency. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Other questions? I had a quick question, and I'm not sure there may be sensitivity around some of these through their claims, but are you able to, it was really interesting. I'm not sure if this is the first time that these have been broken out by department. You guys are always adding new detail, which I appreciate. I was surprised, honestly, to see 4 in housing programs and 4 in finance. And so I'm just curious, is that like carpal tunnel? Like what's going on?
So they kind of range, a lot of them have to do with ergonomics. So it does have to do with kind of like the sitting or, you know, just the wrist in itself, just the carpal tunnel in general. But a lot of them also have to do with, you know, a slip or a fall, right? You know, carrying a box, not taking a step, kind of range from that.
One thing that would be kind of helpful, and I know it's like, we add a lot to you guys every time we ask you, but like some kind of aging on this, like maybe you got a couple columns here, where it was like from, you know, how many of these date from 2022, 2021,
Yeah.
like just to give us a sense of like, have we been getting better? Have we been getting worse? You know?
Definitely do.
So. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, let's move on to the finance report. Mike, take it away.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's always such a pleasure to see you, and I just know that when you hear the finance report, there's just excitement. I feel it. So Kim, if you're willing to give us a little longer than 30 seconds, but give us the audit update.
So the HDC 22 is finished and we're working on closing it out and closing the next year so we can move on with that one fairly quickly. I've been told that it's gonna start, they should have their paperwork done in February, beginning of February. And then the HACM audit, we should have hopefully tomorrow, but at the latest Wednesday, that will be done, and it will take also probably like 4 weeks for BDO to close the books and to get everything ready for the auditors. King City 22 is done, 23 we should have a draft for this week. Tynan is completed, the Parkside audit and third capital contribution is completed. The FLC 23, I sent the final item today, so I should have like an email hopefully with that closed. PDM is also closed, and we're starting to provide initial items for our limited partnerships. Because there's about 17 of them that we have to do for the calendar year. So we're going to be very busy. Thank you.
Thank you, and appreciate all the hard work in the last 6 weeks. It's been particularly noticeable. We closed out a lot of items. Thanks to everybody who participates and supports the process. As far as finance goes for the month of November, is a good month. From my perspective, we continue to work closely with BDO, which is our partner, and they're helping us improve in many different areas. We're trying to utilize the Smart Sheets, which is a software to help us organize and track journal entries, audit status. And they even have a function that we're looking at perhaps where we might have a calendar function where those directors in that organization might be able to keep an annual calendar where they would allow Zulika to be able to see everyone's forward-looking calendar from her desktop, which would be huge. Again, a couple of hot items. Rent Cafe is upon us, which is the collection of monies and qualification of clients and tenants. A pay scan is coming along here very soon. It'll be helping us go paperless for accounts payable. And again, the never-ending cleanup of our mini bank accounts is kind of coming to a conclusion. We're right now we're in the process of, actually with your signature, Chairman Buter tonight, we would be able to help get us out of a bad spot with HUD. Because there's supposed to be an agreement in place between your bank and the agency over key accounts, and so we're working on that with our bank, and they'll be signing off soon. Again, procurement, we just really work. I meet once or twice a week with our procurement department to try to make sure that everybody in the organization understands the policies and that we're actually using purchase orders and following the organization's signature authorities correctly. From a financial perspective, this was a good month for the HACM side of the business. Year to date, now we actually have a $2.5 million surplus, 2.7 million favorable to budget year to date for the HACM side of the business. And then on HDC, it's a little bit the opposite. We're a little slow in receiving incoming funds for things such as waterfalls and so forth. But there will be some, I anticipate improvement in that as we get these audits done. That'll release us to be able to collect monies. So when you look at total November, we had a positive 1.94 bottom line, and the budget was 150,000. So that's significantly favorable, almost $1.8 million. And then year to date for HDC, I'm sorry, get confused here. On a year to date basis, the entity is almost $2 million favorable, positive in our bottom line, or $1 million favorable to our budget. So I'd say from a financial perspective, things are good.
Questions or comments from commissioners on the finance report?
Well, it's more of a process and board related questions. So when you talk about audits, my experience typically with boards and audits is that we receive audit reports and just kind of as they're filed in them. Are we talking about the same sort of financial audits here? And what is the board's role in this process? Are they going to be coming before us at some point, or is it just kind of a completely external? You're letting us know they're being filed with who they need to be filed with?
No, the board get a copy of all the HECM audit and HDC audit. I don't know if you want a copy of all of the LPs, because I don't think they gave that to you in the past, but you can get it. But you do get the HECM and HDC, and they have everything in there, all the findings, concerns, what we looking like financially. So you get those two. You get them electronic, and then you get one that's bound.
So I'm just trying to understand how it works, because on all my other boards, there's some point where like our audit firm comes and stands in front of us and presents our audits to us and says, we have no findings, or it's an unmitigated kind of, is that part of our process?
That's never been the process here. I
You can do it.
think that would be great. I think that's a great idea. I mean, that's
I agree, that's kind of the audits that I am familiar with, during findings and,
That's how I did it in my previous agency, but here, as far as I knew, they were not doing that, and then they were so far behind, so I wanna say let's do it on the 22, because we need to jump into 23, but then maybe, when we do the 23, let's just make it, well, when the audit is final, we get it, and Nova Gradic comes, and explains what's going on for HECM and HDC. Then we can ask some very detailed questions about it. And then but they have a point where they have a draft that's ready. But normally since I've been here, they do the draft, and it still take them a couple of months to finalize it. So I don't know if you would want to see the draft. You probably just want to see the final audit, and then maybe have them present at the following board meeting. Would that be? Because everything rolls up into those two, so if you look at those, you get the picture.
great. Other comments and questions?
I just would say I've been with 3 different nonprofits, and you see 2 of them, and they were 25 to 50 million. One had the auditor come and do the dog and pony show, right? And then the other one did not. So it just sort of depends on the board. And I think in some cases, the the backgrounds of the board members. Because certain boards, they don't really understand financials very deeply. And so I think it makes them uncomfortable.
But it's a good learning experience, and with the way the audits was, here, how they had gotten behind, I think if you probably was doing that, a lot of things that you didn't know, you would have known sooner. So I think it's a great idea, we should start, I just say, let's start with the 23, so we don't lose the momentum, so we can catch up.
Right.
The only other thing I was gonna say was, on the finance report, Commissioner Anderson and I we're on a nonprofit board together, and we have a finance report that it's like this in the sense of we get, revenue is up to this, and the net bottom line was down this or up this, but in between, there's a little bit more context, about, well, why are we, what were the timing related issues? And, from a board perspective, I think that kind of thing would be helpful for us. And it's basically like sort of a one-page narrative. This is kind of a one-page narrative. So I'm wondering if there's a way that,
We working on a new finance report right now.
okay,
There's gonna be a little longer than one page, because I think you should see what's happening at every program and property.
Yeah.
So it's gonna tell you the cash flow for each program and each property, so you'll know where the problems are.
Yeah.
And then, as we do it and we get more comfortable with it, it probably will shrink a little bit and go more like to the overall scope. But I really think y'all need to know, because each one of these properties, they have their own successes or deficits. And it's important to know, so you know why you need to make the decisions and the policies that you wanna make to bring those up to par. So that's the one that we're kind of working on with BDO now.
yeah. That's great. Yeah, I know. I mean, again, just one data point, but I'll see if I'll ask if I'm able to send like just a sample. I found that it's illuminating, just as so. But that's great that we're working on an updated version. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, I'm gonna move on to the property management report.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sequoia Vasquez. I'm one of the property management supervisors. To the left of me is Sandra Rosales. She's another property management supervisor. And at the end, to the left of Mike is Ricardo Calderon. He's our maintenance supervisor in the property management department. So just a few highlights of in our department that are happening or have happened for the month of December. We had our property management managers and staff completed their YARDI training. We are on track with the PDM rehabilitation, as Rika mentioned earlier. King City Migrant, we continue with the rehabilitation. And with Portola, Vista, and Casanova, we're currently working on the completion of the installation of computers at the sites. And for Casanova, we're also continuing to work on the installation of the cameras and the door systems for the property. We're going to include installation of cameras in the elevators and the laundry rooms. Also, we are currently also working on the rent increases that were approved by the USDA and notifying staff or residents and having meetings with them to notify them of the changes of the rents. That's all I have, unless anyone has any questions. Yes.
I have a question. I noticed a few weeks ago, the sign on one of the haciendas, it looked like, I don't know if a car ran into it or.
It did.
It
There
did,
was an
okay.
accident,
Yeah,
and we're in the process of replacement. for the
okay.
sign.
I
That's
just
the one in the
noticed-
corner, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
That has been worked on. It's completed. We just have to paint it now.
Oh,
Yeah, we had to wait a while for the stucco to completely dry before we seal it, or else it would just start crumbling because of the moisture.
I know that.
The rain is not helping cut.
Yeah, I'm familiar because I drive that area a lot, and if you go too fast, you're either gonna hit the pole or they're gonna hit that sign, so I don't know. I don't know if the city should put something, sometimes they put those pillars or something, because it's really a sharp turn and you can't go fast through that area, so. Maybe I could send an email to the city.
We'll definitely look into it.
Okay.
as well.
But I just noticed it. Thank you.
It's not a question, I have a tiny note. Just in terms of, since this packet is our public record, you might consider on the Pueblo Del Mar occupancy report, like an asterisk that notes like the exit, you know, because I was just scanning down occupancy rate when I was reading the packet, I was like 12%, what the heck? And then I was like, oh, it's Pueblo Del Mar, and like, I understand it, but you know, if someone were to just pull this report, that it kind of jumps out as like a problematic thing if you aren't fully in the know what's going on.
That is.
With all the people that in the public that are pulling up the reports.
Just because this was supposed to home with District 5, Sandra, do you think you could talk about just kind of the Rippling River transition and you know, kind of how you guys are messaging things to residents? I know you guys already had a meeting, you know, which is kind of what that looks like over the next few weeks.
We have plans. I'll be out there with the river this Thursday.
Okay.
So I'll be meeting with staff, with the manager and the maintenance there. Nora is coming with me because there's other members that are gonna be going out there. So I'm gonna kind of finalize everything with the manager, see what's going on. And then I believe to also schedule a meeting with the residents once that transition, maybe by no later than next week.
To add to that, Director Buter, we did have a meeting out there and gave the residents an opportunity to give their feedback and what the concerns are. The current property management company is in process of collecting all that data. They're supposed to forward it to us. So when we have a follow-up meeting in February, we address all those concerns.
Yeah, no, I mean, so there's several of those residents that have my personal email and we
Oh, yeah.
correspond. And so I know that you know, in all seriousness, they're, you know, folks that are seniors and some folks with disabilities. And so I just want to make sure that changes in like payment methods, computer systems, like all those things can really throw people for a
So we can reassure them that they would be a part of the process, so they're
Yeah.
on board with the process and changes that are coming, and that would be informed every step of the way.
Great.
And we did recently decide to keep both staff members at this time.
Got it. Okay. Well, that from a transition standpoint, that makes things
Yeah, to make it easier.
a lot easier. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. It's related to the waiting list report. And I'm wondering, you know, as you're planning for our retreat meeting, this is one where I'm interested in how we tell this story, how we interpret this data and how it informs development and outreach and all the things that we're looking at the properties and kind of seeing what people need and where. So it's not a specific question, but it's like this particular report,
The way
kind of you know, always, I look at it, my brain's always like, how do we do something with this data? And, you know, in terms of planning and forward thinking, so,
Sections of need.
yeah.
we have demographics, we can run it for the income, family side, there's a number of reports you can get from it to see, you know, like what area has the most homeless, for example, that are on the waiting list. What area has the lowest population, because we just recently looked up some information for the city of Soledad. They got a project they doing out there, but they don't really have anybody on the voucher program. It was just a few people, I think, that was on the voucher program that actually lived in Soledad. And so that was the basis for their development, because they were gonna build so many units and they wanted the people there to have a preference. But based on that data, it seemed like they won't be able to do that because they won't be able to build a unit, so they'll have to, you know, expand it to the rest of the county. But we can kind of change it up and play with it and kind of give them an idea like how you want to see it, so that you can see it, because we can put it income, family size, ethnicity, all of that.
I guess I'm just thinking too, you know, like, and it's probably a function of the work that I do on a day-to-day basis, like, how does this become a tool for advocacy around need? You know, as you think about things like the Castleberry Community Plan or the Chular Community Plan that the county is working on, you know, how is HACM going out and saying, hey, here's what we see? You know, so when you're thinking about what you're zoning for X, Y, and Z, or even like the work that's been going on with the housing element and opportunity zones, like where were we as an organization advocating for the needs of the people that we serve, including those that we can't serve. Because for whatever reason.
If you want something like that, I think it'll be better for us to take the HCB waiting list and the public housing waiting list and kind of do them like stats for stats, but put them by area. And then that way you can say, you know, for example, Greenfield. This is what's happening out there, because you have all the information from both of the waiting lists. And you can give somebody that and let them know what the need is in the area and, or even the successes of the area for the people that we do have that either moved from there or moved to there. So, but it'll be better to mix both of the waiting lists to do that. Well, we can do that.
Also for those with disabilities in terms of.
They want that on there too, so we can run it by age, we can run it by disability, we can run the veterans, because we have the specialty programs. So we can do like a waiting list report. And we'll use HCB and public housing, but all the information will be by city.
Perfect.
So that way you can just go on there, you wanna know what's going on in Marina. These are the people that's applying, this how many of them normally improved. This their income ranges, and if you had a little graphs and all that, we can pull that out of your and then combine it to one report.
I think the rooming type is really important because, you know, as cities are being approached by developers and they're thinking about in lieu fees or inclusionary housing requirements to be like, okay, yeah, but you gotta build us 3-bedroom apartments for our inclusionary, because that's what our people need. So they're not just saying, oh, here's your little 1-bedroom.
Yeah.
And we don't actually, you know, yes, we can have people, but that's not necessarily what we actually need in that location.
Yeah, and I have noticed that up here, all of the developments are mostly for seniors, which we do need to assist the senior population, but we have a tremendous family population that doesn't have anywhere to go. They are either just a little shy of meeting the criteria to get the voucher, or it's some type of transportation or daycare issue that's keeping them from fulfilling it. And so it's a big need with the families, with like 3 bedrooms. But yeah, we could put something together like that. So Diana and property management team, y'all hear me talking, so we get together and create something.
Sorry, we're just.
That's good. And I mean, commissioners, I'm actually working on a little questionnaire for everybody so that you can contribute your thoughts to topics for the retreat that's coming up.
Yeah.
So,
I'm getting so much, pushback and concerns regarding H2A housing. And, you know, with all the new projects that are going up, and just families who really need housing, but yet these apartments are not for them. So it's been a real challenge. But, yeah.
okay. Well, I think if there are no other questions, we're gonna move on to the development report.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and staff. Just a few highlights. Most of the information is already included in the board report. However, I did want to highlight that we are currently working on our submission for placement service. That should be going out this week for one part site. In addition to that, good news, we finally got our PHLA and home retainer that was being held by the city of Salinas. We got it last week. After much begging, we got it finally.
Nice.
The potential pipelines, I went a little more into details. Luca is planning on sharing the memo with you with more detail. So just, I'll leave it at that. There's news to come and we're excited about what's coming in the pipeline. Ripley River, you've heard, we've had our meetings and that transition. We are going to go out there this week with some construction staff to look at the new property for our process and our planning of what's to come at that project that will be shared with you all in the future. Time and affordable, we received a developer fee payment last week and we have another one coming. So that's all good funds that are coming back to the agency. We are moving forward with finalizing our plans for this building to address the heating and air and the space here. We met last week with the architect. He's in the process of submitting his proposals so we can review, we can move forward with using that. The last of the funds that were left with the state funds. Tie-in Village, that modernization work, we're about 75% complete and our target completion date is February 12th. Highlights for today, if you have any questions, I'd be happy.
Questions for Nora? I had a question just about, you know, there's been so much since we did the HDC consolidation, there's been so much turnover. And so, Nora, you've been wearing a bunch of different hats. Is it basically at this point, is it like you, Zalika and Nora? Is that what HDC is at the point?
But we
All
do
right.
have a plan.
Okay, you guys are hiring somebody, right, or looking at?
Yeah, we're looking to fill, 3 positions over there, actually.
Great.
But in the meantime, we're keeping everything moving and hitting on our targets and.
And what are those 3 positions?
Director of development, project, what is it? Project developer, project manager, and then a housing, analyst.
I have an organizational question then. And clearly Yuri's not afraid to ask the dumb questions in public. But so this is something that I've just been wondering about. I recognize that there are 2 entities technically. We sit on 2 different boards. There were actions taken, but then I'm sitting in the meeting, and everything is together, and I'm just wondering, like, what is that? I mean, does that need to continue as these 2 separate entities? Is that required, or what are thoughts and
So
conversations
HACM
about that?
HACM, officially owns HCD and we brought them back under our umbrella, so we manage them. That's why information can be included in HACM's board report. But when we want to take action or have a resolution for HCD, we must have a HCD board meeting and do the resolution under HCD.
But Zalika, can you speak to the reason why we have, like, basically, my understanding has always been the reason we created HDC as a standalone nonprofit was to access things like tax credits, for example, but like a public agency.
Yeah, we can do the development over there. That's why we'll have our non-federalized funds. You always need a place for that. If we had a CHOTO, it would go under HDC. When we wanna do things that are a little out of the norm and not be held to the strict regulations of HUD, we do it under HDC, because they have a separate set of regulations.
It's just more flexible.
Yeah, it is, it's more flexible, but the key thing is that it's completely owned by HECM. So when we have the reports, we can just do them as the HECM board. The only way that we would have an issue is if we passed a resolution under HECM for HDC. So we have both of the meetings, and that was something I was gonna ask you guys at the retreat. If we want to do the development, which is primarily HDC, under the HDC report, or just keep it under HECM if you want to have both of the meetings, because we're not required to have both of the meetings every month. It's just what they've been doing here. Or we could put that meeting on a separate schedule, pending it doesn't have any resolutions or something, maybe do it quarterly, but it's whatever.
We probably have one a year.
Yeah, just by time.
The other reason,
They have a little more
to
exposure.
answer your question, HCC is the managing general partner and a lot of them are LPs. So they can't technically go away unless you replace them, so that would take.
She just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
You have to redo all those agreements and all those documents and insert a different entity.
yeah, but
I think because it's basically a legal fiction, I mean, the setup, I'd be curious to know, other folks that have been around for a while, I think the current setup is way better, and basically you just have to have the understanding that when we talk about development, we know that on a technical level underneath the facade, it's happening through HDC. But it's just so much cleaner to go through this whole thing, and the reality of the situation is, we have a property management division, we talk about HR, we talk about development, and like the legal structuring is almost like, it's
no,
just.
probably just wanna have one like twice a year on which you have a resolution or something.
Yeah.
And then that way you still meet the criteria legally.
Yeah.
But you still get all the information in the regular report. So,
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a good question.
but it is a needed asset. Every housing authority definitely has to have some type of partner or development or arm as HDC functions. They cannot build housing under the affordable housing model without it.
It sounds like yeah, go ahead.
So it's that partnership that
Mhm.
you have, yeah.
It sounds like you're gonna put together a memo, it sounds on the development stuff.
I noticed that you was having, but I figured that y'all was having because of the split and all of that, so you was like continually having information that you had to do, kind of at every meeting. But now since all of that's gone away and we more organized, we don't have to have it like that, we can just do it, twice a year or something.
I think that's a good topic for a retreat.
I was gonna say that could be something that we can discuss at the retreat, like.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry.
More
to jump
clarity.
ahead.
No, it's
I-
good,
I
it's
was
good.
thinking the same.
I was actually trying to go back when I was thinking about the memo piece about to the actual development report from today. Can you benchmark? You don't even have to tell me like which properties in particular, because I know some of them are mystery properties. But like if you had to benchmark like the probability that we actually get there on some of these, like.
That's easy, we're definitely gonna do parcel B.
Okay, all right, I like that.
Okay, we definitely gonna do Greenfield, cause it's gonna be a senior facility, they expressed they got need for that. So unless something, you know, just really out of the ordinary happens, I don't see why that shouldn't go through.
Yes.
So those two, PDM rehab is already on the way. Rippling River is 100% gonna happen, it's just how we gonna do it. And we'll have a time, you know, a calendar to kind of show like.
That's a redevelopment.
That one's
Yeah.
definitely gonna require some.
Yeah, it's a little discussion, but it's definitely gonna be something have to happen there. And I can't tell y'all in this meeting because of legal issues, but there are possibly 3 others that we will be taking on at the Housing Authority.
So those could technically, sorry through the chair, fall under closed session under real property acquisition conversations, right? If you wanted to give us.
That's why I said I was gonna send you an email. Cause as long, I can send an email out to the whole board, and as long as you all don't start talking and conversing on the email, it's not public information.
I think to do like a combination, like you could send us, you know, some kind of memo that, so we have all the detail, but then we can also have a discussion, maybe at the next meeting, we could just have an
Yeah.
agenda as opposed to.
Or
session item.
we can, yeah, cause there will be 1 or 2 that'll be ready, should be ready by the next meeting.
Yeah.
And then we'll even have something to look at the board retreat for the future.
Well, one of the things we were also gonna talk about at the board retreat, and I know that's gonna become a recurring topic here, is you know, essentially our strategy for development, right? Because at least my understanding of parcel B in Greenfield is that we've been doing that through, you know, as sort of the junior partner to another developer. You know, like junior partner.
Let me just say this, honest. I like to keep what belongs to me.
You're good negotiator, I'll give you that.
If I own it, I'm gonna always own it.
You made that very
clear.
You made that very clear on our
The
call.
only reason that we gonna have like some consultants and some other partners is because this is the whole development team.
Hey, I love it.
Plus, it's gonna let us get more projects out at one time, but no, we don't give away, any money and.
Yeah, well, so 2 points on that. One is, I think it's important for us as a board of commissioners just to have that strategic conversation about, you know, and we've had some of these conversations about, you know, to what extent do we want to have a development arm that's fully capable of doing its own development like HDC was doing versus partnering with, you know, other nonprofits and for-profit developers. And that's, you know, that's just kind of a strategic question. The other thing I said, we've talked about this in the past. I've been on the other side of that equation where you're the blood sucking, you know, developer. And you come across the housing authority. So I appreciate that you are gonna fight for our interests there, because I've seen it go the other way.
No, I don't give up nothing. And just to speak on your previous developments. On paper, they kind of look like they did everything over there, but they had a lot of partners and consultants that was behind the scenes. And so we still kind of following the same model, but I think if we partner up the way that we were talking about, we probably can have 4 or 5 projects going at the same time. And so that'll be really good for us. And then plus it'll get the new team some training and kind of teach them what we, you know, the direction we're trying to go in.
Yeah, I think like.
It's gonna build capacity, cause I wanna tell you so bad, huh, but I'm gonna have to tell you. It's just so juicy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things where like if we could have a full discussion about, you know, the key points like you talked about, right? Like basically if you're doing a, if you're doing a deal with one of these groups and you're just thinking about, you know, like what does my term sheet look like, basically? You know, retaining ownership, what does my developer fleece split look like?
For instance, if I was doing.
Right?
It's so much fun, like, I'm gonna keep the land, but I'm gonna lease it back to myself, so that I pay myself rent. I'm gonna keep at least 80% of the developer fee, cause I'm gonna let the other person use the construction company, so that's how they'll get their money. They'll have less than 1% ownership and automatically come out in year 15, and I'll be the managing entity. That way, I don't have a John Stewart or nothing, I use my own staff to manage. So then, y'all gonna get paid for managing the property, so I'm getting paid for my land, I'm getting paid for managing my property. And then I'm just waiting for them to leave in 15 years and convert it to something else. Oh, and I'm getting probably like 80% of the developer fee, cause I got PDB units. That's just kind of, some.
If you were gonna, if you were gonna.
Yeah,
If you were gonna. Okay.
So these guys, keep them in suspense.
Okay, any other questions on the development report?
No,
That's good. All right, we're gonna move on to the housing programs report.
Good evening. So let's start off. In the month of December, the HCV program spent 5.2 million. For the mainstream, it was 104,000. For the emergency housing voucher program, we spent 578,000. We had 336 annual certifications, 359 interim certifications. We had 6 new FSS enrollments. And we have 13 requests for tenancy approval pending leases so that we can house them in the system. In December, we also had 225 voucher holders searching for housing. This is for all the units except the EHV. For them, we had 33 voucher holders searching. We had 20 HQS inspections, and 19 of those were submitted to PIC. We had 9 units under 0 HAP, and 0 were under abatement. Now for the project-based program, we have a total of 684 units for the month of December. For the Housing Choice Voucher Program, we have a total of 228 applicants. And we continue to mail out 100 packets on a weekly basis. So within the next 2 weeks, we should exhaust the waiting list. We removed 867 from the waiting list. 325 were housed and 468 are in the process. And for the month of December, we issued 218 vouchers and we leased 101. For the EHV program, it closed at the end of December 2023 when we had 270 applicants housed. We continue to have 107 families who are who continue to search for housing. We have 19 that ported out. We leased 8 and 84 of those voucher expired. For the foster youth voucher, we continue to work with the Community Human Services and the Housing Resource Center. We have 5 referrals being processed. 2 of them have been leased. And then for the FSS program, we have 103 participants. And out of the 103, we have 43 families who are escrow. And that concludes my report.
Questions? I just wanted to give you guys props again because again, if you just look on page 55, going from 3,300 to 38, mid 3,800s in the HCV program. We talk about this every time, but I just continue to be blown away by that just because I sat here for years, and it would just sit there at 68%, and now we're at 75% in a year. And then similarly, if you look down at the EHV program, these are hard to house folks, presumably hard to, get through the process and the paperwork. And we went from 79 leased to 270 over the course of this year, which I think is a huge accomplishment. And so, hats off to you guys.
I had the same feeling about the foster youth incentive program, because I think my first meeting, I heard Zuka talking about it and kind of just being like, oh, we're doing it. It's just the awareness of it, and then our going from 1 to 7 in that short period of time. And then I see the partners you're working with. I'm wondering, have you reached out at all to our community colleges? Because they also have some, dedicated work they're doing with foster youth that might be another source of individuals who could benefit from the program.
We do currently the MOU that we have, the referrals have to come from the Department of Social Services. So these other agencies, because they have reached out to us, it has CSUMB, Hartnell, Probation. What was another agency that they had youth that they wanted to refer, but we had to send them to social services. They do their part and then they send the referral to us so that we can work on vouchering them.
So as a trustee at Monterey Peninsula College, I have to say, hey, talk to them as well. Don't forget about HDC, like I know people think that because it's sitting there in Monterey and that maybe those students aren't in need, but we're a Hispanic serving institution. Most of our students are actually traditional college going age. So I will also say this to our student services team to reach out and make sure they're aware of the program.
Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, then we are going to move on to, drum roll please, a closed session. We're going to move into closed session. We are going to meet for Government Code Section 54597. Relating to discussions of certain matters relating to public employment, including personnel matters, evaluations, and disciplinary actions, and also Government Code Section 54956.9 subsection 3 subsection 2. This section permits closed session discussions of certain matters related to litigation involving the public housing agency or board. So let's move into closed session. All right, well, we are coming back from closed session. We have nothing to report out. We are going to move on to item 9, which is commissioner comments. And we are going to start with Commissioner Anderson.
Really briefly, I just wanted to follow up, Gabby, on your communication regarding trainings. I would love any direction from the executive director on what trainings she would like me to attend so that I can be best at filling my role. And otherwise, thank you all for being patient with us tonight and for making sure that we have all the information we need to do this. It's clear that you're working very hard.
Thank you. Commissioner Roscoe.
Bad allergies. Just would also, I know that there are some trainings that I also need to attend, so just wanted to get some follow up on that, and also wish everyone a happy 2024 and continue to do the good work that you all do to serve our residents, communities. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Goodwin.
I just wanted to thank the board for a very productive meeting in closed session, and thank all the staff, considering the absences of some of the staff that have occurred during this past week, for filling in and it making it feel like nothing ever happened. That takes a lot, and I know it's hard to substitute. So Anyway, thank you, everybody, and, we'll see you in the next meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Healy.
All right, I'm gonna do my long list of thank yous. Especially very much thanks to Zulika for a great first year and for obviously a good meeting this evening. Thanks to James, thanks to Mike and Kim. Thank you to Socorro and Sandra and Ricardo. And thank you to Myra and Diana and Nora, and most especially Gabby as well. So thank you all very much. Keep up the great work.
I'll try to make mine short. Everything that Kevin said, everybody noted, thank you to all of you for all your hard work. Solika, thank you. You've shown this past year of who you are. Your knowledge, the reflection that you're making, not only on the outside, but on the inside, because that's what matters. There are a lot of still more people out there that need housing. And I know that they're gonna, some of them will come through those doors and be served and be able to qualify. I want to say thank you to all those involved in the huge achievement on the cleanup. I think it was for the BMS. So I just want to say thank you to all of those involved. And I want to say thank you to Gabriela, because she always answers my texts, my emails, so thank you, sweetie, for always helping me out. And I have already mentioned to Gabby that I want to go to the national conference in September, which is in Orlando, Florida. So if any of the other commissioners want to go, and they offer a lot of trainings, workshop things, even besides commissioner workshop, they also offer different other things that are come out in our agenda board meeting items. And I always try to expose myself to those because I might not know, to me, it's like ABC, I'm learning all over, but I like to go to get refreshed. So if any of you want to join me and going, because to me, I always feel like I need to get my knowledge improved if I'm serving the community here and then also serving all of you. So thank you, Gabby. You're welcome.
I just want to thank everybody in the room because it's pretty darn late. So I'm gonna shut up here real quick because I think you guys want to go to bed. But the only other thing I was gonna say was I was excited by the energy, just kind of with the board tonight, and I think I'm really excited about the board retreat, because this idea of instead of just perfunctorily going through these packets, yes, if we can be strategic, I think that's where we can actually add value for people to start making some real change. So anyway, thank you so much for staying late. We have one more meeting, so we're gonna adjourn the meeting here at 7:50 p.m. and move over to the HDC meeting.
Right on, okay. Yeah, okay, should I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the HDC development meeting, Monday, January 22nd. We are starting at 7:50. And if we could have roll call, please.
Chair Francine Goodwin,
Present.
Vice Chair Yuri Anderson. Here. Director Kathleen Bellascaros.
Present.
Director Hans Buller.
Present.
Director Maria Orozco.
Present.
Director Kevin Healy.
Present.
That concludes the roll call vote.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the public?
Nobody in person? Anybody on the line? No one online.
Okay, thank you. Okay, consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered routine and therefore do not require a separate decision. However, discussion is necessary for a member of the public who wishes to comment on any items. The item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Questions for our clarification may be made by directors without removal from the consent agenda. The consent agenda is adopted in one motion. the minutes from the HDC meeting held on December 18th.
Move approval.
Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who, approved them.
Director Anderson, move approval.
Okay,
Your careers.
and seconded by, Hans Pluter.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, the roll call vote, Chair Francine Goodwin,
yes,
Chair Yuri Anderson,
Yes.
Director Kathleen Bellisfaros,
Yes.
Director Hans Buller,
Yes.
Director Maria Orozco,
I'll abstain since I wasn't present for the meeting.
and Director Kevin Hilton.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes the vote.
I believe we've had, the property management report and the development report already in the previous meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, I guess we're gonna move on, if that's okay, to director comments. Okay, think that are we all in agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Just making sure.
Yes.
Okay, let's see, Vice Chair, Anderson, would you like to go first?
I have no additional comments, Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Ballesteros?
Just thank you to everybody for the information.
Commissioner Buder?
No further comments.
I'm sorry, Director Buder. Do you have any comments?
No, no further comments.
Okay, thank you. Director, Maria?
No further comments.
Okay. Director Healy?
No additional comments. Thank you, Director Goodwin, for chairing the meeting, and everyone have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you. And I have no comments. And we adjourn at 7:54.
Francine.
Thank you.